Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with a look at the $150,000 New York Derby at Finger Lakes on Monday afternoon. This is race number 8 on the card for 3-year-old New York breds going 1 1/16. Let's take a look at this field. Only 5, but you've got horses from the barns of Chad Brown, Todd Pletcher, Michael Maker invading the Finger Lakes with quality New York breds. Now there's not expected to be a lot of pace in this race, and this race is expected to be run over a wet racetrack. So keep that in mind when making your final determinations. Taking a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, we see Chad Brown's number 1 aggregation, a horse that has never been on the lead at the pace call in any of his 3 races, expected to be on the lead in a gray bar situation, a race which features no pace according to Timeform US. That's a big advantage for any horse that can get close to the pace. Aggregation has shown the tactical speed to get close. He's more of a grinding type. Several of these horses just seem like stamina-based horses. Aggregation is one of them. He has a very good wet track pedigree. His sire Flatter wins 18% of the time with wet track runners. The industry standard's about 14%. Chad Brown won this race in 2017 with Twisted Tom. Let's watch Aggregation's last race. He's 2 for 2 in 2022, including this performance going a 1-turn mile at Belmont, a first-level New York bred allowance. And as the odds-on favorite, for a second he was giving the chalk players cause for concern, because on the turn it looked like he was outpaced a bit. Then he got to the outside in the stretch and he was able to grind down the winner with a very respectable 89 Beyer speed figure. Breaking from the rail, I expect Manny Franco to try to hustle him out of there, not getting behind horses and have that slop or wet track kick back in his face. Aggregation, a very logical contender off that last Beyer speed figure. The number 2 is Best Idea for Todd Pletcher, and we'll take a look at his most recent race. 7/8 of a mile. It was the Mike Lee, and it was a little sharp for this horse. I think he's going to really appreciate stretching out. They went fast in the early portion of this race. Best Idea was completely out-sprinted. He comes to the far outside, and you're going to see him make up a lot of late ground, finishing second to the sharp gate-to-wire winner Rotney, who would come back and win the Ontario County Stakes at Finger Lakes with a 94 Beyer speed figure. This is a horse with a strong wet track pedigree. Best Idea's sire Honor Code wins 15%. The dam has already foaled 2 wet track winners, and Pletcher won this race last year with American Revolution, who would go on in the fall to win the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. This is a horse that showed the speed to get forward in his debut, setting the pace in between horses, again having to be urged along on the turn when the pace got hot, and then grinded out the victory to win by open lengths. I'm expecting him to be a lot closer to the pace than he was in the Mike Lee. The 3 is State Planning, and it's easy to look at State Planning's 2 races on wet tracks and say, well, he doesn't like it. His career debut, he finished 9th of 10. 2 starts back, he got beat a country mile, but I think other circumstances contributed to his defeats that day. In his career debut, he missed the break very badly, and that could have just wiped him out. It might not have been the wet track at all, and 2 starts back, it was likely the company. He raced in the Grade 3 Peter Pan. He was a huge long shot, and he was likely overmatched. Last time out was a second-level New York bred allowance at Belmont Park, and he was just even paced that day. He really didn't fire. He does have a strong wet track pedigree. If you believe that his 2 wet track starts and losses were due to other factors, Liam's Map, his sire, wins 19%. The dam won on a wet track. She's foaled 1 wet track winner. My main concern with State Planning is his running style. He doesn't have a lot of speed. This race doesn't figure to set up very well for him, so State Planning might need a little bit of race luck as he faces some very good shippers. The 4 is Grabbing the Money. Let's watch his last start. This is an open 3-life allowance at Finger Lakes. You see him down on the inside, rallying late to finish 3rd. Now, the runner-up is an older horse. He would come back to finish 2nd at Saratoga, albeit in a $25,000 claiming race. It's hard to imagine much improvement coming from the 4 Grabbing the Money. He's already run 15 times. He does have some early speed. He won his maiden at Mahoning Valley in gate-to-wire fashion. He was on the lead after a mid-race move 3 starts back at Thistledown. So maybe Grabbing the Money will show some positional speed. The race completes this field, and Berets has faced some very tough competition for trainer Michael Maker, and he likes a wet track. He won the Rego Park Stakes earlier this year, sprinting over wet going. He ran in the Wood Memorial. He was very wide all the way around the track, and he finished an okay 5th behind Mo Donegal. Last time out in the Ohio Derby, he chased a pretty fast pace, and he was able to run 4th against some good horses. The 3rd place finisher, Classic Causeway, of course, coming back to win the Grade 1 Belmont Derby on turf. turf with an 89 Beyer. Barace chased fast fractions last time out. That makes him eligible to be close to the pace in here, and he has obviously run some strong races against New York bred competition. I'm not sure I love him around 2 turns. I think he's more right now of a 1-turn 7 furlong to a mile type, but with this kind of pace scenario, if he can get up close, it might help him stay the distance. Before we get to my top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video offerings. Top pick in here, I'm going to go with aggregation for Chad Brown. Breaking towards the inside, I'm expecting him to show speed. If Timeform US is correct and he can get right up close to the pace, if not outright on the lead in a very slow pace situation, I think he could be tough to run down. The distance should be his friend. The wet track shouldn't be an obstacle. We'll see if Chad Brown can win the New York Derby again. He did it with Twisted Tom in 2017 with aggregation on Monday afternoon. Good luck.